on Game Talk Live, Nintendo's latest release puts a modern twist on a very familiar Pokemon game, and we break down the worldwide phenomenon that has dominated pop culture for the past 20 years. Let's go. I'm Andy Roman, and welcome to Game Talk Live, where we discuss the biggest video game news of the day, live with help from our chat audience. Joining me now are three expert guests to discuss these gaming topics and more. First up is Matt. Matt Acevedo is a production coordinator, community manager, and host at Hyper RPG, an avid Nintendo enthusiast who hosted Nintendo's Nindies event at PAX West in 2017. Hi, Matt.
Hey, everybody. It's good to be back.
Glad to have you back. Also joining us today is Dave Crane, a partnered live streamer for Twitch covering everything Pokemon related. From the handheld games to the trading card game to Pokemon Go, Dave lives for Pokemon. Hi, Dave.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And another familiar face of the show, it's Mousie, a content creator and member of the Yogscast family. She plays a variety of games on YouTube and Twitch and likes to take part in general tomfoolery. Mousie, we're glad to have you back.
Nice to be back.
All right, guys, let's hop right to it. The Pokemon Company has revealed their latest entries to the long-standing franchise, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Both games will be released side by side for the Switch and will feature Pokemon Go integration. But how might this title become too gimmicky? Matt, why don't you start us off?
Okay, well, first off, what my concern with this whole new reinvention of the original games is that I think that taking out training, like battling random Pokemon, making the Pokemon Go system, I think that's going to lose some gamers. I'm really excited for it, and like I said, we're still some details we haven't gotten yet, and I'm sure we'll get them with E3 next week. But I'm concerned with the fact that you don't have an option to train. I think that's a huge part of it, and to me, that way only complaint with Pokemon Go is I would be devastated if the only way to level up my Pokemon besides training, besides trainer battles, was with just going out there and collecting Pokemon to get candies. To me, I don't enjoy that, and I think that's where the gimmickiness comes into play. Is if it's you just going out, if you want to go to Mount Moon and just stay in Mount Moon collecting Clefairy, so you can level up Clefairy rather than taking that Clefairy and going to different areas of Kanto and leveling up with different Pokemon. I think that's a huge opportunity that can lose some gamers.
Sure. David, as someone that plays a multitude of Pokemon titles, how do you feel about these two titles?
I'm very ready for them. I think Matt hit some very good points there. It's going to be very interesting to see how they bring the two games together, Pokemon Go and Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. Pokemon Go kind of is in its own little, I don't want to say world, but, it's a little bit different. The way that, as he was saying, you get your candies, you're not really playing like the main series game. So I think, it's going to be very interesting to see how they incorporate the two. But I know Nintendo, I know that they're not going to let us down in this. So I have a lot of optimism for this. And I think they're going to do a very good job with this.
Yeah. Mousie, do you think this title is going to have lasting power?
I don't know. I think with it integrating into Pokemon Go, I know a lot of people have dropped off from playing Pokemon Go, especially in where I live. It used to be quite big in this area. I think it's going to be quite interesting. I think it's more going to be a thing of people coming from Pokemon Go to this title instead of going from the other way. If there's an option like he was saying earlier with training in the game, if it's able to be played without Pokemon Go, I think a lot of people may just do that, and it will probably last for as a standalone game in that way. But since they're integrating Pokemon Go as well, it's going to be a bit interesting, because what happens if they ever stop doing Pokemon Go and discontinue it on mobile apps or in the future because of servers and stuff, that sort of thing. So I think that's a bit concerning to me, if it's going to be a huge part of the titles. But it could drive a whole bunch of new people from Pokemon Go to the console and, Pokemon in general.
Certainly. Do you think this title could be a breath of fresh air in the era of over 800 Pokemon? I mean, those of us that grew up with Pokemon may not have the time to grind and kind of stat manage like we used to. I mean, Dave, what do you think here?
That's a great point right there. Pokemon Go, the core of the game is grinding. So it's getting out in the real world. It's catching Pokemon constantly, getting the Stardust, as much Stardust as you can to power up Pokemon, creating that core team so you can do raids with your friends and work together as a community. It's going to be interesting to see how that grindiness is brought together. The Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu. I don't think they're going to really have that big of a grindy aspect to it. So I think they're going to bring the best of both worlds together. They're going to bring the core grinders of Pokemon and the people that really enjoy the core of the Pokemon franchise. They're going to try to mend those two together. I think it'll be cool.
Sure.
I'm ready for it.
Matt, is that kind of the beauty, do you think, of Pokemon Go? Is that it's kind of like this Pokemon Light edition, if you will?
I definitely agree with that. I would say that it's for very, very casual gamers, even people who don't game. Like, for example, when Pokemon Go came out, everyone was playing it. All kinds of people were playing it, not necessarily gamers. So I do think it's an intro into this kind of world that we've grown up with. So I agree that it's a strategy to try and get these gamers to come and play onto console. So yeah, it's a great entryway. I'm curious to see how. Will people give into that, though? Will people purchase Switches so they can play this? I know for a fact, though, that having that really cool Pokeball feature is so... It's like, I'm so into that. And anyone who has, like, a Pokemon Go... I think anyone who's into Pokemon Go would also be into that and would want the accessories that go with it. I was like, woo, look at that. I want that.
I'm just waiting for how many televisions are going to be broken by people mistakenly throwing the Pokeball. And I know they say, wear your wrist strap, safety first, but I remember with the Wii remote in the early days, yeah.
See the controller stuck in the TV screen.
Yeah. Speaking to this new peripheral, I mean, okay, so we know that the Pokeball Plus, this new little Pokeball peripheral, will allow the user to bring one of their Pokemon with them, and it will also act as a controller for the game, if you will, and emit sounds. So depending on what Pokemon is trapped, if you will, inside this Pokeball. So Mousie, I mean, what keeps a peripheral out of the landfill? Because I think of all the people that were so excited about the Pokewalker when it first came out, and then I don't know anyone that still uses their Pokewalker. So
I only know one person, and I'm pretty sure it's not charged or anything. It's just an accessory at this point. I don't know. I feel like at the beginning, obviously, it's going to be like a huge deal, but I don't think. Like in a year, you're gonna still see people down the street just throwing a Pokeball. I don't think you're gonna see that, but I think it would be cool to have the option for it and to have it. I think it'll be more of a collectible item down the road, if I'm honest. But I think it will still be fun in the beginning, of course. It's about that at the end of the day. If people are having fun with it, then yeah. But yeah, I think I don't know, with the Switch, obviously that's part of the console, but something extra more to carry around, I don't think it's gonna last forever.
I mean, Dave, do you think this is kind of just a novelty item? Do you see yourself using the motion control at all, or do you think you're just gonna use like a pro controller to play this?
I'm absolutely gonna use it. In Pokemon Go, they have the Pokemon Go wristband, which helps you catch Pokemon and spin Pokestops. And when I think about that, I don't really think about enjoyment. I don't get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I don't look forward to taking, I just don't get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It's more of a tool, in my opinion. Whereas the Pokeball that we're going to use for Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, that is going to be not just a tool, but something that we can enjoy, something that we can take with us, share with friends, maybe even, play a little joke on them and have your Pokemon make its call or something. You never know. I think it's going to be something that we're going to really enjoy for a long time as compared to just a tool like the Pokemon Go Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to add on to that,
Please,
I do think that the longevity of it, I think the longevity of it will come from the kind of features that you could get from carrying your Pokemon with you. Like, if it's just a casual thing, I think it will wear off on a lot of people. But if you have abilities where it will, if EV training becomes a part of it, if in the future generation games, we're actually able to use this to, level up our Pokemon on the go and use it for, competitively to help train, I think that would be a huge huge opportunity for gamers and for Nintendo to keep it going, keep people interested and involved, and not just make it a novelty. So I think it will see down the line, but I'm hoping that it will have features like that as well. So.
I wonder if you told a kid in 1996 that eventually he'd be carrying around an actual Pokeball, carrying an actual Pokemon, kind of. Like, this is the closest I feel like we're going to get to real world Pokemon. So with the success of Pokemon Go bringing new fans into the franchise, is Pokemon Let's Go a ploy to turn these fans into console adopters and get them to purchase a Switch? I mean, we talked a little bit about the beginning of the show. Mousie, what do you got?
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's definitely a tactic. I mean, you've seen it before with like Watch Dogs. They had a mobile app, and now you see like Fortnite and PUBG having, you know, mobile aspects of the game and mobile games itself. I think it's definitely going to try and drive more people. Like we were saying earlier, it's like Pokemon Lite. People who've never played Pokemon before and never picked up a gaming console or anything could play Pokemon and get introduced to it, or now playing Pokemon, you know, they know of it now. And the fact that now it hooks into it, it's going to be like, oh, maybe I should try this. Maybe I should get a console and, you know, maybe give it a go. I've liked Pokemon Go, so why not? I definitely think it's going to drive a whole bunch of new people to the console. I think it's incredibly smart as well. It's probably the smartest way I've seen mobile games be integrated into console and PC games.
Absolutely.
So.
And if I know I can collect exclusive Pokemon or one or the other, you know that I'm going to get both. So, Dave, do you think Let's Go will affect the way you play Pokemon Go?
I definitely do. I'm not too sure how it's going to be, but I definitely do. I know the hardcore player base of Pokemon Go, kind of going on that the recent topic here, the hardcore player base of Pokemon Go, they'll do anything for this game. If they create a new device, if they create a new game that can link to it, we'll go to any lengths to make sure that we can get that. And I know I can speak from my experience here. Just in the last week, I've heard of so many people purchasing the Switches, just preparing to use it with their Let's Go Eevee or Let's Go Pikachu coming out in November. They are so ready, and the price tag is almost not even a thing. They're just obsessed. They want it.
Do you think the price tag of $60 will include the Pokeball peripheral, the Pokeball Plus?
No, I don't. Knowing Nintendo and knowing Niantic looking at Pokemon Go with the Pokemon Go Plus, they definitely, I mean, you know, it's a mobile game, so they couldn't just send it to you in the mail, but they're always going to try to get that little bit of extra money out of you, knowing that we love it and we're going to do anything to get it.
Sure. Yeah. Megalo Blazemon in chat said this game would be a grand slam if they have online multiplayer and the ability to have tournaments and competitive play. So that brings me to my next question. I mean, this is a kind of a huge step for this series, is we have this drop-in, drop-out couch co-op happening. And do you think that'll become kind of a mainstay for the series? Most titles nowadays seem to have some form of multiplayer added to them. Matt, what do you think?
Well, I think what it's really going to come down to is if I'm, for example, if I come to play with you and like I bring my Pokeball or my Switch, like, am I able to port my party over to there? Because, you know, I think a lot of Nintendo's like multiplayer support that they add to traditionally single player games are this very minor, you know, kind of feature that allows you to like collect star bits or do something like very minuscule. So I think it'd be cool, and I'm curious to see if you can transfer your own party into there, because then I think that's when you're able to actually take that multiplayer to the next level instead of just playing like the first player's party or whatever. But they did say that it's going to be heavily focused on that first player. So are you going to be playing with like that person's Pokemon, their PC, or are you able to transfer? I think like what it comes down to is I want to play with my Pokemon when I'm playing like with you, kind of a thing, you know?
Absolutely. So besides, say, battling and trading Pokemon, what do you think would be the ideal form that multiplayer could take, Dave? What's your perfect multiplayer?
My perfect multiplayer would be having some sort of incorporation with Pokemon Go and the other Pokemon games, kind of like what they're already hinting at. I want to be able to get outside and put my Pokemon in front of me using the AR mode and maybe battle with my Pokemon right in front of me, you know, and someone else standing next to me. I want to be able to battle like that. I want all kinds of community building if you will. Like I want to be working with the community here through any sort of PvP. It's all about the core community, in my opinion, and just keeping the player base tight and loving it.
Yeah. So Pokemon Quest launched last week, speaking of a new title, on the Nintendo Switch and is coming soon to Android and iOS. Do you think this title fills kind of a niche left by Pokemon Go's somewhat limited gameplay? Mousie, what do you got? Look at them. Look at these perfect square angels.
They look so cute.
This game is so good.
I love it. I've actually tried not to look at it whatsoever because I want to like download it and like look at it like, fresh eye. The minute I saw it, I was like, no, I can't look at this yet. I can't look at this yet. I'm not ready. But no, I don't know. I'm so excited for it, honestly. I haven't gotten a chance to look at it, but I've heard from some of my friends who've been playing that they're absolutely obsessed already. And I hope it doesn't ruin like the upcoming everything for me. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have much to say actually on it because I've purposely stayed away from it.
That's quite all right.
Just so I can, yeah.
Dave, go ahead, please. Share your thoughts with us.
I was going to say, I think Pokemon Quest, how they mentioned they're going to be bringing that to mobile, I think at the end of June, they had said.
Yeah.
And Pokemon Quest kind of, it doesn't really go hand in hand with Pokemon Go, but it's dipping the foot into the mobile world again. It's trying to get those people that everybody has a cell phone. It's trying to get those mobile gamers, mobile players to start thinking about the other products, the other Pokemon games that are coming out. Pokemon Quest is a perfect game for mobile. I've played it with the controller on the Switch, and I've also played it just, in my hand, tapping the screen. And I've found it to be a lot easier having it in my hand, tapping the screen, than using a controller. So I think the mobile incorporation will be perfect for that. And it's only grabbing more of the mobile gaming world and bringing them into the console world with the new upcoming Pokemon releases.
Absolutely. Lego Maple in chat says, ooh, I am loving Pokemon Quest. It is so addicting, as mobile games should be.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about should be, but all right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we'll be talking more about the Pokemon phenomenon and how it's managed to endure after all these years. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name's Todd. We're going to be playing some H1Z1, and a lot of you out there are going to be able to win some prizes by guessing when our guests die. Sasha, are you ready to go play some H1Z1?
Let's do this.
I think we've seen this story before.
We got a lot of guests tonight from all over the world. They're competing for a trophy, our Champion of the Night prize. Which one of you is going to be the best player tonight?
Anybody that comes in my way is done.
Get a helmet, get a backpack, get a rifle.
Kill everyone.
Kill that person.
Engage.
Kill. Oh my God!
I give the people what they want to see.
Oh my God!
Oh wow, he took a big hit. He got it, guys!
Can you throw me in like the Norwegian server or like someplace where they're just not gonna find me?
No.
Did I die first?
No one's died that early in the game ever.
We have 75 players in Tier 3. Let me hear you make some noise.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Since its initial release in 1996, Pokemon has expanded well beyond the bounds of trading cards into video games, TV shows, movies, merchandise, and more, while maintaining millions of passionate fans worldwide. Very few franchises have been able to stand the test of time for over 2 decades, but Pokemon continues to grow bigger and more ambitious every year. So let's focus on the gaming culture surrounding the franchise. Can we attribute the success of Nintendo's handheld market to Pokemon or vice versa? David, what do you got?
Yeah, absolutely. If we think about Pokemon today in 2018 to where we were when the game came out, when Pokemon was first a thing, it was our childhood. It's such a nostalgic thing for us, and Pokemon has continued that through every generation, if you will, up until 2018. So it's in a way hitting, our childhood. It's our deep rooted love. So I think that Pokemon, absolutely, it's definitely yeah.
Would you say that it's the game franchise that has kept Nintendo's console or handheld console alive, if you will?
Absolutely, it definitely has. Nintendo has made many great games. Let's.
Yeah. I'm not discrediting any of these amazing games that are handheld games. But let's be real.
Not at all. But Pokemon has definitely continued to carry the torch all the way up until today, present day, 2018. There's, Pokemon is it, and I don't see it going anywhere.
Yeah,
really
Mousie, do you want to elaborate?
You've never, I can't think of any Nintendo console that didn't have a Pokemon game. It's been there since the beginning.
Right?
Like,
they just go hand in hand.
It's always been there.
So
it's
true.
always been there.
Yeah, as most titles are mobile, this has been the one, console manufacturer that's managed to still have a mobile device that continues to sell units and titles. So, all right, so is collector culture and the idea of completing a collection the perfect recipe for a successful franchise? I mean, this concept doesn't just apply to physical goods, but also digital, as we're seeing with Pokemon. Pokemon is a perfect example of this, in addition to, say, unlocking achievements or trophies in video games. Matt, what do you think?
I think it's a good part in keeping like the original kind of fan base involved. I don't think new players are as much completionists and collectors as I know I am. I am definitely one of those guys that has to get every single Pokemon, and I'm all about collecting. So I think it's and for all Nintendo's game actually, like I would say that I'm always inclined to go out the extra mile and try and make sure I 100% things. I go and collect, get the exclusives, go to that GameStop and get the Cerebi special, whatever. Like I'm always the kind of guy who, and I think it's aimed at us. I think it's a huge part of keeping that core fan base happy because it's like a new kind of challenge. I would say every single time that's a slight variation on it was before, and giving us a little bit something new every time, and keeping at the core of it, keeping it what it is, and staying true to the original IP is like I think crucial to success. And but I would say that for us older gamers, it's definitely a big part of keeping us around. So.
Definitely. Mousie, did you want to add something?
I think it's good for new gamers as well, because there have been so many Pokemon. There's so many. Like I've been, I know the franchise, but I can't name 5 off the top of my head because there's just so many of them. It's overwhelming. So I think like going back to kind of the their original favorites and stuff kind of helps the people that are coming over from maybe like the mobile and stuff to get into it a little bit easier. They're not as overwhelmed getting into it. So I think that's definitely...
That brings me as a great point, Mousie, because the gameplay really hasn't evolved much over time. I mean, from Pokemon to Pokemon game, the traditional ones, if you will. We've just gotten more Pokemon. That's been the compelling, reason to buy another Pokemon game. So are other developers who are constantly redefining their franchises maybe working too hard? Or is Pokemon the exception to this? The fact that the gameplay doesn't change much, it's just we add new characters. What do you think, Mousie?
I don't know. I mean, the fact that it amazes me that you could just keep adding and it just keeps going and it's going so strong as it is. Because I feel like with any other franchise that wouldn't work somehow. And yet with Pokemon, it does. I don't have an explanation for it, if I'm honest. It just baffles me. But at the same time, there's some kind of nostalgia to it. Just collecting. Just continuously getting them. And the fact that the combat stays the same, I think that does kind of help, though. Because then it's not overwhelming again.
Yeah, you're both chomping at the bit here, chomping at the bit. Matt, why don't you start us off?
Okay, I think that a big part of that is that it's unlike other main title games where you're following Link or you're following Mario. Like you are the main hero. It is your journey. It is customizable. You can make your party to however you want it. Hey, you could have a party of Eevees for Christ's sake. Like you know what I mean? Like you can be. It is your story, and to me that is such a huge part of it. It's like this is me. Like this is my adventure, and I think that for any new kind of player, I think it's so compelling and so exciting that like what's your name? It's like, oh, my name's Matt, and like you go on this epic, amazing journey with this customization. I think that's a huge part of it. I think it's so
part
good.
of the Pokemon story as well. Like it's not just the journey itself. It's you grow attached to the Pokemon themselves.
Yeah.
And like they grow up like with you because you see
Oh,
them
yeah.
evolve, and it's I feel like that's a huge part of it as well.
Except
Yeah, I
Ash's
think
Pikachu, but we
Nintendo-
don't need to talk about that. All right, Dave.
Oh, it's all good. I think Nintendo basically released Pokemon and created Pokemon at the perfect time. And what I'm getting at is this was right when gaming was really picking up a lot of intensity, a lot of fire. This is when people started getting Game Boys because they're wanting Game Boys for their birthdays, in the later 90s. And that's right when Pokemon, we were able to have it in our hands and we were able to take it with us places. We were able to be in the car that late night, trying to see the screen every street light that went by. It was just that was our nostalgia. That was the perfect time for them to incorporate Pokemon, was when gaming was really picking up, and they've carried that all the way through. Now, what I think is really interesting to see is gaming, if I'm not mistaken here, started off as a console, right? Like, I don't think we ever had Game Boys as the first thing. So it's interesting to see that they kind of picked up with the handheld first, and now they're reverting back to the consoles, which, if I'm not mistaken, once again, was the beginning of gaming.
Sure. But is the Switch really a console? Because it's a hybrid, so...
That's, I have trouble calling it a console. I really do.
Yeah. So Cameron in chat says, as long as they keep the formula of catch, collect, trade, battle, and breed, people will buy and play this. It's Pokemon. But I cannot think of another franchise that has managed to just keep on trucking for as long as they have. Do you think that the two versions of each of the handheld editions is predatory in any way, going back to this kind of collector culture? Because hardcore fans will likely buy both editions. Mousie?
Yeah, cause I've had this struggle with myself because it's like, do I want Eevee? Of course I want Eevee, but Pikachu's nice, and it's just like this constant battle in my head, and it's like, but that means I have to pay for both. That's gonna hurt. And I'm thinking of like the general public who will be buying these games. They'll have to make that decision, and if they really love the game, they're gonna end up spending, that much money on both of the games. And how different are they going to be? That's the question. I worry about that a little bit. But at the same time, Eevee, Pikachu, I want them both.
Dave, do you think it's predatory in any way to have these two editions?
Yeah, they've been doing this for a long time. They started off with Red and Blue. So they've always kind of gone with the two edition type thing, let you pick the road which you want to go down, right? And with Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu coming out, being that it's based upon Pokemon Yellow, where you start off with Pikachu and your rival would have Eevee, I look at that kind of as like, do I want to start off kind of as like the Team Rocket-ish, if you will? Like, do I want to be the enemy guy, or do I want to start off as, like the new trainer that just wants to get going? I am definitely getting both. Hands down, I'm getting both. I couldn't do without it. I initially pre-ordered one, and I was like, I really thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I need both. I love Pokemon.
Which edition did you pre-order first?
I got Let's Go Eevee first because I figured like maybe everyone's going to go for Let's Go Pikachu, but then I started hearing that people were going for Let's Go. So like, you know what? I wanted to go against the grain.
Yeah, I also went with that.
What's your worry,
I think my
Mousie?
worry is like with Pokemon Go, how if you have both editions, how is Pokemon Go gonna work with if you have both? How does that work?
We don't know yet, and we will have to learn. We still don't know the exact kind of integration and how that's gonna work, if it's vice versa or one Pokemon on the other. Well, I'm sure we'll get more details at E3.
Yeah.
So, Matt, has Pokemon become so ingrained into our culture that there's no way it could go away? Is it just going to continue to evolve, for lack of a better word, and change to keep up for generations to come?
I mean, I really do think so. Like, we are we're coming up on 25th anniversary, 25th anniversary, and but I do think that Nintendo has a really great way of keeping things fresh, and the Pokemon Company has no doubt will do that, and they have continuously impressed us, like by adding new generation, adding new story, and I'm really excited for the future of this company, and to seeing the aspects of what we're getting from this game. It is a doorway. It is an opening up for future generations to be, I think, integrated and have this kind of gameplay mechanic as well. This is just a taste of what we're going to get, and that is like what what we're going to get from Let's Play Eevee is going to be the future of the franchise, I think. But I think they're going to go back to where you can battle Pokemon, and then you can use your Pokeball like Pokemon Go and throw it eventually. So that's what I want, at least.
All right, guys, a huge thank you to all of our viewers and our guests for being here. Tell us your favorite Pokemon and where people can find you on social media, and we'll start with Matt.
Oh, that's a great question. My favorite Pokemon's got to be Snorlax. I love Snorlax. Guy just wants to sleep. Let him alone. Let him sleep. You know, and you can find me at Shy Guy Express on all platforms. Also, make sure to check out Hyper RPG for all things nerdy and gaming, and check out our new show Hit Points that we're launching on YouTube. It's our new gaming show, so check it out.
Fantastic. Thanks, Matt. All right,
Yeah.
Dave, your favorite Pokemon and where people can find you online.
I love Gengar. Got to go with Gengar. Terrified me when I was younger, but I loved him. He just seems so mysterious to me, and he's so powerful. Where you can find me, you can find me on Twitch. You can find me at Twitch, Pope Dave. I do Pokemon Go all the time. Love it. And I do everything Pokemon, from TCG to the handhelds. Even sitting right next to me right here, I got my Switch and my DS, so I'm never arm's reach away from something Pokemon.
All right, thanks, Dave. All right, Mousie, your favorite Pokemon and where people can find you online.
I like Umbreon the most. I love the process you had to go through to get all the Eevees, and just how overly difficult and challenging it was. But Umbreon is definitely my favorite. And you can find me over on twitch.tv/MousieRL. So, and Miss Mousy Mouse on Twitter. So, yep.
Thanks, Mousie. And my favorite Pokemon is Pachirisu. And thank you to everyone who watched, commented, and shared the show. I'm Andy Roman. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and watch Game Talk Live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific. We'll see you next time.